Welcome to the Bite Size Brilliance Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. April Darley, and today I want to talk about the pressure of performance. So, what does that even mean to perform? So, in my practice, I work with clients who are high achievers. They have this ability to keep going. Some of them have very high energy levels. They're very determined. They're very goal oriented. And I help those clients achieve their goals without sacrificing their health, wealth, and freedom, or especially burning out. And through the many years of practice that I've had, there are people that are naturally wired for more endurance. And what do I mean by that? So they are mentally a little bit more resilient, they're mentally more goal oriented. And then there are people who are high achievers, but they need more rest. They need more reset time. So they don't quite have the ability to go nonstop like an Energizer Bunny like the other group does. But they would both be considered high achievers or type A, right? So one thing I do is to help people learn the difference. And where are you naturally wired versus what is a desire for you, like this desire for productivity or this desire to performance, but where are you actually not listening to the cycles and rhythms of your own brain and body? And that happens a lot, especially when it comes to burnout. So, there are definitely physical symptoms of burnout. And one of the things that I see is if you have hit this point where you are starting to imagine buying an island, going away, never coming back, or taking some sort of job that you view as a no-brainer job. Like, I want to be a ticket taker at the zoo, right? And instead of CEO of this multi-billion dollar corporation. So if you are dreaming about something less or dreaming about escapism, drinking Mai Tais on your private island, that is a sign of burnout. And it is a sign that you haven't listened to what your brain and body are trying to communicate to you about your rhythm. Other signs of burnout are no matter how much sleep you get, you can't quite feel rested, or you're losing your focus, your attention to detail, your executive functioning, and you're starting to feel more anxious. You're starting to get high blood pressure. You have moments where you just run away from it all. You are overwhelmed and it feels like your system is shutting down. So if that feels or sounds familiar, then this episode is definitely for you because there are multi-level components about that entire condition. Nobody hits burnout all at once. Burnout is a subtle thing that has been building sometimes for years. And part of the way it builds is because we're running off of adrenaline longer than we were supposed to be, longer than we were meant to, or that our bodies are designed to be. Because in modern day society, that fight, flight, freeze reflex that we all have, it was meant in short bursts. You see a tiger, you want to run away from the tiger. Now, when you're safe in your cave, you come down from that adrenaline high, you rest, you relax, you reset. But modern day society doesn't work that way. We have a series of micro stresses. So you get ramped up with a lot of adrenaline, your heart races, you feel this anxiety, and you don't get a chance to come all the way back down before the next problem presents itself. So it keeps you in this cycle of where you're a little overstimulated. And some of our modern day habits will contribute to that as well. Did you know that I was reading a study recently that said our attention span has dropped from, it was about 42 seconds in the 1950s. In the 80s, it got down to around 30 seconds. In the mid 2000s, we're talking like 2007, we were dropping down to like 15 seconds. A few years ago, they stated we were now down to 7 seconds. The most current research is that we're now down to 5. Okay. And social media has trained us to consume information in short bites, like one or two sentences is all we now have the focus and capacity to pay attention to. And then not only that, our reading comprehension has dropped down to a third grade level. And that is in part because of the way that technology has been structured. It definitely plays havoc with our executive function, which is our focus, our planning, organizational strategy. And it's designed to continue to ramp up your emotions and your survival instinct. So, all of those have a part to play. And if you are not taking time to properly reset your nervous system, to reset your focus and attention, then you're not going to be as productive as what I know many of you want to be or need to be. Because productivity, if you had to define that to space aliens who had no idea what productivity meant, what would you say it means? And you can't use the word to be productive, right? You have to come up with something. So take a second, think about it. My personal definition would be to get something done. All right, so I'm going to use that as an example. If productivity means to get something done, and that's the definition that I have assigned it emotionally, that's the first thing that kind of I spit out of my mouth, then whatever happens is going to work off that definition. So, what would it mean if you didn't get something done? And the survival fear there that's going to activate your nervous system into fight, flight, freeze is that you would fail. And then it's going to feed that information back to our subconscious and go, what does it mean if I fail? And your subconscious is kind of worried about your reputation. It's worried about belonging to a group, a tribe, a company, some sort of institution. It wants to belong, it wants to fit in. So, what's happening underneath is that if I fail, then I'm going to disappoint someone, and then my reputation will be damaged, and then I might lose everything. And that feeds that information back down to your survival brain, which says we're in danger. And then this is how you get a stress response. This is all going on underneath the surface. On the surface, your logical brain, where your executive functioning lives, you just want to be more productive and you don't necessarily understand why it's not happening for you, why you can't concentrate, why you can't focus, why you keep missing deadlines, things are falling through the cracks, you're missing little details. And it's because systems like these are running on automatic pilot in the background that you don't even know about, or you might suspect them, but you don't know how to address them. So this is what I do with my private one-to-one clients in my bespoke brain system is I'm going to teach you how to circumvent these things, right? And awareness is always the first key. If you want to develop emotional intelligence, which helps you belong to a group, which helps you develop your empathy, make connections, build these rich relationships, part of that process is by understanding all the parts and pieces that make you you. And it's unwinding all of these stories that we have created for ourselves along the way. Because if I were to draw you a little flowchart right now, the thoughts that we think create emotions. Emotions are just chemicals secreted, and then the brain interprets them in a particular way as an emotion. So your thought can trigger an emotion. Emotions can feed back and trigger a thought. So this is how you can kind of get stuck on a loop of feeling bad or feeling pressure or feeling this incredible amount that you're going to fail, that you won't be able to be productive, you're going to lose it all. And this is the first place people get stuck. But if we can bust that loop, and this is what I help you do, I'm a loop buster, right? A cycle breaker. To bust this loop, you move on to beliefs. So a belief can be defined as a thought you continue to think. So belief is another word for story. What story or narrative are you telling yourself about what you're doing, what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what's possible for you? This is where a lot of mindset work, especially subconscious mindset work, likes to operate on this level. What's your belief? Beliefs are created by thoughts you continue to think. And then based on the thoughts you continue to think and whatever belief and emotions you have created around that story dictate your actions. So, right now, if you're not being as productive as you want, if you're not seeing the kind of reality that you want for yourself, we need to trace this all the way back to your thoughts, emotions, beliefs. And then we get to change the action. Action is really strategy. That's the executive functioning piece. But we have to work on it from a multi level piece to get you where you want to be. And that is what I can help you do, my friends. And schedule your free, complimentary, all the things consultation call. And we'll kind of go through this little audit. We'll go through this bespoke brain system that I do to figure out which level are you getting hung up on. And then we can offer you some solutions to circumvent that, to do what you really want to do and believe that that's possible for you, and to create a customized plan on how you get there. So, what have you got to lose? It's 20 minutes of your time. It's over at aprildarley.com. You can find the booking tab, schedule that complimentary consultation, and let's get started. So if this resonates with you, definitely drop me a like, a share, a review on this podcast so that it helps others see it. That would be much appreciated. But I want you to feel good in what it is that you're doing. And without this pressure of productivity, there's a space where enough is enough. And you are the master of that. You get to determine what is enough and what that means to you. But what stories have you created around it? And that's what I want to help you unwind. So until next week, my friends, have a great one.